Hi everybody, I'm Gwen and welcome to At Home with Gigi. I'm so happy to be back with a new video, and today I'm part of a collaboration with 3 other wonderfully talented YouTubers. It's a Farmhouse Dollar Tree DIY collaboration, but I'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. But for now, let's go ahead and get started. For this first DIY, we're going to be using this round that came from the Dollar Tree in their $1.25 section, so you should be able to find them. I just found this recently, and I'm going to go ahead and give it one coat of Waverly chalk paint in white. To create my design on the front of the round, we're going to use this stencil from Amazon, and shout out to the honey for helping me get this straight. I could not get it straight, but anyway, we got it straight, taped it all down so it won't move, and I'm going to be using this spackling, and I'm going to mix it with the color Celery from Waverly Chalk Paint. And then I'm going to apply the spackling to the little designs that's going up each side of the stencil, because I want those to have like a 3D effect on my sign. I'm going to use this spatula that came from the Dollar Tree to spread out my spackling, but you can use whatever spatula you have. You can even use a popsicle stick for this step if you like. And as you can see, I'm just smoothing it over the little leaves, and I applied one layer, and then when I went to scrape off the excess, I took way too much off, so I ended up putting a second layer, smoothed that out, and then scraped off the excess, and then realized it needed a little bit more, so I did go over it with a third layer before removing the excess. Because you really want to make sure you have the spackle built up where it's going to give you that 3D look. For the other side, as you can see, I switched to a different type of spatula. This one also came from the Dollar Tree, but the metal one kept snagging on my stencil, and I was afraid it was going to mess up my design, I guess because it wasn't very wide. But this one just helped it go on so much more smoothly. Before I move on to the next step, I am using a baby wipe, and I'm going around and wiping off as much of that excess spackling that's close to the letters as I can, because I don't want it to mix with my paint. And also, just to let you know, please don't, when you're cleaning up your stencil, don't wash this down the sink. It will mess your sink and your drain up, so please don't do that. For the letters on the stencil, we're going to be using Elephant from Waverly Chalk Paint, and I'm just using pieces of a torn up cheap sponge from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to pounce it around over the stencil. I'm not doing 2 layers because I don't want it to be really bold and in your face. I want it to be a little bit faded and it looks like it's worn just a little bit. As you can see, I'm kind of holding the stencil in place with a couple of fingers because it's too big for the wood round, and I couldn't tape it on each side. So it was, as I was pouncing my sponge, it was kind of shifting, and I didn't want it to smear and create a mess for my words. So I'm just using my fingers to just kind of lightly hold it in place. As I mentioned earlier, this video is part of a collaboration and is hosted by Ellie at DIY from House to Home, and the other 2 ladies that's joining us in this collaboration is C at ceejdiy and Zita at OakWellHome. And guys, please go check them out. They're a wonderfully talented group of ladies, and thank you, Ellie, for hosting this collaboration and inviting me to be a part of it. I will have their channels along with the playlist for easy access listed down in the description box. If you're here from the playlist, a great big welcome to you. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you like what you see today, please consider hitting that subscribe button and the like button. It sure helps my channel to grow. And if you're one of my returning subscribers, thank you so very much for being here. I truly, truly appreciate y'all, and thank you for returning to watch and support my videos. Just as a little reminder or a little tip, hack, whatever you want to call it, once I removed this stencil, I did use a baby wipe and I completely removed all of that spackling, and I did that right away because once it hardens, it's almost impossible to remove it. And then I washed the stencil because I just did not want to get this in my drain. I'm just going in with a little tiny paintbrush and filling in the gaps that was left by the stencil because I want my words to look like they were handwritten. To get this color that I'm going to paint the top and bottom of my wood round, I mixed together Rust-Oleum White Linen and then Tropic Orange and Sun-Kissed Peach, and those are from Apple Barrel. Now, I was lazy, guys. I will tell you this. I did not sand this round down before I started painting, and for whatever reason, when I put this peach color on there, and isn't this a beautiful color? But anyway, it was like really fuzzy on both ends, so I sanded that down. Then I went back and wiped it down really well with a damp wipe and just removed all that dust, and then I gave it a second coat, and it looked so much better. So just a little heads up if you get one of these. Some of these can just be really furry. These white beads that I used to make the handle, they came from the Dollar Tree and they were already painted, so they weren't the greatest quality in the world, but they worked perfect for this, and I love to add beads to a sign, y'all know that. And I'm just using a little bit of hot glue to keep that twine in place, and then just adding some masking tape over the top just for a little extra security. I went ahead and made a messy bow for the top of my sign, and looking at it now, it might need to be cut down just a little bit, but I love a big bow. But I think the color of the ribbon matched perfectly with my sign. And while the ribbon did not come from the Dollar Tree, it actually came from Michael's. I got it when it was like 70–80% off. So with the prices of Dollar Tree now, it's right along in the lines, because I really did not pay much more than maybe $2 a piece for these rolls of ribbon, and I think they are just beautiful. I love it. And like I said, they just went perfect with my sign. I'd already wrapped twine around the center of the bow to cover up the pipe cleaner, but I thought it just needed a little something extra. And I remembered I had these on hand, and these come from Walmart, and I'm like, oh my goodness, they match it perfectly. And I thought it was just the extra little bump that the bow needed. Well, y'all, what do you think about my little sign? I think it is just super adorable, and I love these colors together. I think it's just going to be perfect to use throughout summer. For this DIY, we're going to be using these 3 packets of ping pong balls from the Dollar Tree to make a beaded garland. And we're going to be using all of them except for 2 of them, and unfortunately 2 of them met a tragic end, so we weren't able to use them. I'm just showing you here that we've placed a dot on each end of the ball just to know where to create our hole. And again, thanks to the honey for doing this for me, because I am terrible at eyeballing things and getting things centered. And I'm going to be using my little Surebonder glue gun that has the tip on the end just to create the holes on each side of the ping pong ball. So you see I'm just placing it in there, kind of twisting it just a little bit just to create that hole. The idea for this project came from Pottery Barn, and they had a beaded wooden garland, which is going to be much longer than the one I'm creating, for $129, and I love a beautiful wooden bead garland, but I am not going to pay that price. So I said, you know what, I am going to attempt to recreate it myself, so you're going to have to let me know if I've succeeded or not. Next, I'm going to give them a coat of Waverly chalk paint in white. I'm gonna let that dry, then I'll go in and give them a second coat. And y'all, it really does not take it long at all to dry on this plastic. After I added the second coat of paint, because this stuff dries really quickly on these ping pong balls, as you can see, I'm just kind of going over it and trying to adding some brush strokes to recreate that wood grain look. I don't know if it's showing up here on camera. Apologies for my lighting. Not sure what happened. But anyway, that's what I'm attempting to do here. To help me get this twine through the ends of the ping pong balls a little bit easier, I'm going to use this large needle. And I just took some tape and wrapped it around the ends of the twine and just ran it through there. It made it so much easier. As you can see, you can just pull it right on through. I'm going to use one of these little tags from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to give it one coat of Waverly chalk paint and celery. Y'all, I love this color for spring. I think it's just so pretty. I wanted to add a word to my little tag, so I'm going to use one of these stickers. And these came from Amazon, and I'm going to use the word hope. And because I am very fat-fingered, I'm going to use some tweezers to help me get my placement just right. And then I'm going to go over it with a layer of Mod Podge just to make sure it's sealed in and not going to come up, even though, like I said, they are really sticky. And also to help take down some of that plastic. You can see it kind of shining there on the camera. I just want to make sure it's not going to be shiny and look like a sticker. I did not show you making the tassel because my little fat-fingered self is not very good at it. And being fat-fingered and not good at something is a lot of fumbling, and I just was not going to subject you to that. I'm just going to go ahead and tie on the little tag, and my inspiration piece did not have a tassel and it did not have a tag, but that's what I wanted to do. They just had loops on each end so you could actually use it as a garland because it was very long, but I chose not to do that. But I love this. I think it turned out so cute, but you're going to have to let me know what you think. All that's left is just to snip off that little bit of extra twine. And y'all, I think this is just super cute for $4 to $5. It's a lot better than $129. Granted, it's not nearly as long, as probably 2 to 3 times as long as this piece, but you could get as many ping pong balls as you wanted to make as long of a garland as you want. But this is just fine for me, and I am really loving this. Tell me what you guys think. Would you use ping pong balls to create a garland? For this DIY, you're going to need some type of spray paint. I'm using Rust-Oleum Flat White. This is my favorite because it gives such good coverage. I only needed 1 coat, and this tray from the Dollar Tree. I just took it outside, like I said, and just gave it 1 good coat front and back. We're going to be creating a faux stone platter using plaster of Paris. You can use spackling or whatever else you might have on hand, but as you can see I had a lot of this, so this is what I'm using. And I'm starting off with using about 3 scoops, give or take a little bit, to start with, and then I didn't measure the water, I just poured some in until I got the consistency. Now I did go back and add about 2 more scoops and a little bit more water because I wanted it a little bit of a thinner consistency, and I wanted more because I did not put enough of the plaster of Paris in my container to start with. And this is about the consistency that you will want. And I've never done this before, but I've seen other people do it and I have been dying to try it. So I wanted a faux stone platter that looked really rustic and I mean like it just been beaten up. So you'll have to let me know at the end if you think I have accomplished this. But as you can see, I'm just smearing it out over my container until I get a good layer. I didn't want it too thick because I wanted it to dry in about at least a day. And it did take me probably about 4 days altogether to do this project because of the layering and then just giving it plenty of time to dry. It is a little messy, so you do want to protect your surfaces. I've got wax paper all on my tabletop and some on the floor just to make sure I would catch any spillage. Now let this set for about 24 hours and cure, dry, however you want to put it, completely. And this is what it looks like, and then I'm just going to flip it over and do the exact same process on the inside of the platter. Now, word of caution here, I'm reusing my plastic bowl, but do not wash this down your sink. It will destroy your pipes. I just used wet paper towels and cheap wipes and just cleaned it out real good till I got everything out, and then I used a little soap and water to clean it. I'm just continuing to smooth the plaster on the inside of the platter. Again, I'm not making it a really thick layer because I want it to dry in at least a day, because I am going to add another layer to the top. And you want to use gloves here because it does get pretty messy. And I'm just smoothing it out. I don't want to get all the lumps and bumps out, but you can make it as textured as you want, but I don't want it to have any really odd lumps. And I'm just using a little bit of water and just smoothing around the edges there. I want it to have a little bit of a chipped look, but I don't want any sharp edges. So this is what it looks like after it has completely dried. It has 2 layers on top and 1 on the bottom, and it's dried for a total of about 3 days. As you can see, it's kind of rough there on the back, so I did use actually 80 grit sandpaper, and I took it outside and just gave it a really good sanding down, and it looks so much better. I did want to leave some of the texture, but I did want to remove any excess that was there on that back and just give it kind of a little bit better look there on the back, and then any sharp edges that might have been left. So I decided I wanted to give my platter a base coat of paint, and I didn't have any chalk paint in the color that I wanted, so I used Apple Barrel's Beachcomber Beige, and I just mixed in some plaster of Paris to give it that sort of chalk pink consistency. Now in hindsight, I kind of wish that I had not, and that I just left it the natural color of the plaster, but oh well, we'll try that next time. But I just used a mixture, and guys, forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, I am not a painter. I just used a mixture of kind of swirling my paintbrush, dabbing and pouncing to get that paint into all the little nooks and crannies of the plaster. Once the top of the platter was completely dry, I did go ahead and flip it over and paint the back side of the tray. Now to get the color that I want for my tray, I'm going to be combining truffle and sandstone from Waverly Chalk Paint. I actually wanted a color that was kind of in between, but I didn't have that on hand, so I'm just combining the two to get that medium color. And then I'm also just going to be using a wet paper towel. It's pretty wet. And that little piece of sponge that's laying there, I use that as well, and I get that pretty wet as well. And I'm just dabbing it back and forth in the 3 colors, and then just using a combination of pouncing, dabbing, swirling. And again, as I said earlier, I'm not a painter, so if I'm saying it wrong, my apologies. Now I know this may be looking a little crazy, so hang in there with me. The end result, I love it. I think it's just beautiful. Because the idea behind this was just a piece of pottery that's been maybe left outside. It's very old, very vintagey, just old world, and somebody's found it. You bring it in and you clean it up, and it has that old rusted kind of patina to it. And I'm hoping that you will think the same thing when you see the end result. I did continue to just rotate back and forth between the sponge and the wet paper towel, because I thought the combination of both was just giving me the effect that I wanted. And guys, I'm so sorry I lost the footage of doing most of the back of my platter, but as you can see, I just used the same technique and just back and forth on the back side of the platter once the front had dried. And I love how this looks after it's set up and cured for a couple of days. I really, really love this. I am just so pleased with how this turned out. I just love it, and I'm so happy to be able to add this to my decor. To me, it resembles sort of a dough bowl, and it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but for my first try and go at it, I am just so happy with how this turned out. But y'all tell me what you think. Tell me if you have ever attempted this, and if you did, what was your outcome? And what did you use to make your piece of pottery / dough bowl? I just wanted to show you a couple of other ways to style this with items from around your home and how to create a little vignette. This is most likely going to go either on the table by my front door or on my coffee table, because I am loving this setup, guys. All you have to do is just pull a few things from around your home to create such a beautiful little setting. Thank you so much for being here today. I truly appreciate it. If you're from my channel, guys, don't forget about the playlist down in the description box. Go over and tell everybody I said hello and show them some love. If you're here from the playlist, thank you so much for stopping by. I truly appreciate you. If any of you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. While you're there, go ahead and smash that like button. Seriously, it really does help my channel to grow, and I appreciate it so very much. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.